Welcome all to Fanshala. So today we are going to start a chapter from geography, that is climate of India, which holds a very important position in the subject. So let's begin with the chapter. Now, to understand the climate of India, we need to first understand the concept of the weather and climate. Weather is the day-to-day conditions of the atmosphere at a place with respect to the elements like humidity, temperature, wind speed, rainfall, etc. Whereas climate, on the other hand, is a long-term concept where we study the weather pattern of a particular region over a long time period of around 30 years. Now, to understand the climate of India, we need to go back of about 299 to 180 years ago when the entire Earth consisted of a single landmass termed as Pangaea, surrounded by a single ocean water body called Panthalassa, which remained assembled for about 100 million years before it started to break off. It got split into two parts. The northern part was called Laurasia, which consisted of the northern continents of North America, Greenland, Europe, and North Asia, whereas the southern Gondwanaland consisted of the southern continents of South America, India, Africa, Australia, and Antarctica. Around 120 million years ago, what is now India broke off and started slowly migrating towards the north at about 5 cm per year rate. Thus, the Indian plate came up northwards within the northern hemisphere and met with the Eurasian plate, which led to the towering of the mountain ranges like the Himalayas. With Arabian Sea on the west, Bay of Bengal on the east, and Indian Ocean on its south, India is landlocked on its northern part. This new position of India gave its climate and other physical properties. Now, India came up to the tropical zone that ranges from 30 degrees north and south of the equator, hence falling within the territory of the monsoonal phenomena. By this, India got its climate called the tropical monsoon climate, where monsoon plays a very important role in determining its climate confined within the tropics. There are certain characteristics of the tropical monsoon type climate, which are: summers are hot and wet, mean monthly temperature is between 18 to 20 degrees centigrade, winters are cool and dry, average annual rainfall is about 150 centimeter. Apart from all this, there are certain regional variations in temperature and in rainfall due to local relief features. For an example, Rajasthan and Mausam both lies in the same Indian subcontinent, but Mausam receives 1100 centimeter of rainfall, whereas Rajasthan receives only 30 to 50 centimeter of rainfall annually. These are caused due to influence of the major local relief features.
एक तेरा एक मेरा दो तेरा दो मेरा तीन तेरा तीन मेरा 50-50 बराबर है एवरीथिंग ओके हैप्पी.
Now, we will be discussing about the major seasons of India. There are typically four major seasons of India. Number one, hot and dry summer that extends from March to May. Secondly, we have hot and wet rainy season or the southwest monsoon season that extends from June to September. Third, we have retreating monsoon season that is from October to November. And fourth, we have the cold and dry winter or northeast monsoon season that extends from December to February. These are the major factors which affects the climate of India, which are the Himalayas, relief features of India, altitude, influence of the surrounding seas, latitudinal extent, jet stream and western disturbance, and El Nino. Now, Himalayas. extends over the northern boundary of India, which prevents the cold Siberian winds coming from the Central Asia to enter India, which could have turned to a northern place into a cold desert. And it allows the southwestern winds to shed its moisture within the Indian landmass. So here we know that Himalayas acts as a climatic barrier. Secondly, we have the Western Ghats on the western side and Eastern Ghats on the eastern side. Now, both these Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats plays a very influential role in determining the weather conditions of the peninsular India. The regions of the Western Ghats receives the southwest monsoon winds from the southwest direction, but only the western side of the Western Ghats receives rainfall because it lies on the windward side of the southwest monsoon winds direction. So here we see that the southwest monsoon winds brings rainfall only to the western sides of the Western Ghats. But as these winds moves over the Deccan Trap and finally over the Eastern Ghats, it remains devoid of moisture and doesn't produce any amount of rainfall as it lies on the rain shadow region of the southwest monsoon winds.
ओह सड़क सड़क उधर
Similarly, the Aravalli Hills lying around the Rajasthan state is parallel to the direction of the southwest monsoon winds. As it cannot create any kind of obstruction to these winds, Rajasthan gets very little amount of annual rainfall. Thirdly, we have the concept of altitude. Now, when we rise up in height, the atmospheric temperature starts to fall. This is termed as the normal lapse rate, which defines that with the ascent of every 166 meter, there is a decrease in temperature by 1 degree centigrade. Now, why this happens? This mainly happens due to the thinning of the atmospheric air layers and hence reduction in its density, which leads to the expansion in volume in the upper layers. Now, in case of the latitudinal extension, the Tropic of Cancer lies through the middle of the country, that is 23.5 degree north, which divides the country into two parts. The northern part experiences temperate zone or temperate climate, and the southern part is termed as a tropical zone, which experiences tropical climate. Now, why such variations? Because the tropical zone is surrounded by the seas, which produces an effect called the moderating influence of the sea, whereas the northern part, which experiences temperate zone, so because it is far away from the moderating influence of the sea. Now question arises, what is moderating influence of the sea? Basically, during daytime, the land gets heated at a faster rate for its less depth, whereas the water bodies takes longer time to get warm for its great depth. Hence, a low pressure develops over the landmass and high pressure develops over the water bodies. Hence, the direction of the wind is from sea to land, termed as the sea waves, which is cool in nature. At night, the land becomes cooler at a faster rate than the water bodies, hence developing a high pressure zone, whereas the water body is still warmer than the landmass, which makes it a low pressure zone. Hence, the wind blows from the land to sea, termed as the land breeze. Now, the interaction of the sea breeze and the land breeze helps to equalize the temperature of the coastal areas, giving it a moderate influence. So, the temperature of the coastal areas neither becomes too high nor becomes too low. It remains to an equable level. Fourthly, we have the concept of distance from the sea. Now, as we mentioned just now, that the coastal areas experiences the moderating influence of the sea due to its proximity to the sea. So these are the areas which basically experiences the maritime climate due to the interaction of the sea waves and the land waves. This gives them both moderate summer and winters. Whereas the interior parts of India which have a great distance from the sea, gets divided from the moderating influence of the sea and hence experiences continental climate which is extreme in nature, which means that it has a high range of temperature with very hot summers and very cold winters. Fifth, we have the concept of the western disturbances. During the winter season, the westerlies starts to blow within the latitudinal extent of 20 to 50 degree north latitudes. Now, in this time period, temperate cyclones occurs in the Mediterranean Sea regions which gets transported towards India due to this westerlies, which enters India in the form of western disturbances that creates rainfall in Punjab and Haryana region and snowfall in Jammu Kashmir region. This winter rainfall in Punjab and Haryana region helps in the cultivation of rabi crop during the winter season. Coming to the sixth point, we have the jet streams. Now I am going to make a separate video on jet stream to understand and analyze it in more details. But for the timing and for this chapter, we need this much only. So jet streams are cold, fast-blowing winds which develop in the upper troposphere. The jet stream in the tropical belt are of two types, the westerly jet stream and the easterly jet stream. The westerly jet streams prevail over the northern plain in winter months and bring rainfall to the northern parts of the Indian subcontinent during the time of winters. Now from the definition we get to know that the westerly jet streams and the western disturbance are the same thing. On the other hand, we have the easterly jet stream. This appears after the departure of the westerly jet stream. It plays the main role of steering the tropical depression which calls on to bring the southwest monsoon winds. Now it is important to note that in the year, if easterly jet stream do not pass over the Indian subcontinent, that year would not face any sort of monsoonal rainfall. So the passing of easterly jet stream over the Indian subcontinent and steering the tropical depression formed over the northern part of the country in the summer season is very important to call for the southwest monsoon winds during the monsoon season. Lastly, we have the El Nino. Now, firstly, we should remember that El Nino, it has an inverse relationship with the Indian monsoon. El Nino is a warm ocean current that appears off the coast of Peru during the months of December and lowers down the pressure due to the eastwards movement of the warm surface water, which brings rainfall to the western coast of South America, but Indian subcontinent faces a drought-like situation. So whenever there is an El Nino, Indian subcontinent will not have any monsoon season. It will face drought-like situations, whereas on the South American part, on the western coast of South America, there would be flood-like situations. So, these were the major factors that influences the climate of India and gives India the climate of tropical monsoon type. In our next video, we are going to discuss about the incoming and withdrawal of the southwest monsoon winds in details, their path of arrival, the path of the journey, and how they withdraw from the Indian subcontinent. Till then, stick to Fanshala, subscribe my channel for more educational videos, and always remember, it's Fanshala from us to you.
वल्लाह जवाब नहीं है तुम्हारा गुटुर गुटुर इतना सब बोल गई
ये लो बेटा, जो काम तुमने बताया तुम करते हो वो काम तो अपना सहदेव भी करत है बिना घूमे हुए। हाँ, ए सहदेव बता जरा।
आसमान साफ है, 2 दिन तक बादल नजर नहीं आएंगे।
हाँ,
वेरी गुड।